Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 4 of my favorite 31 power trio bands of all time. That's right, my favorite 31. Not necessarily the best, not necessarily the top. My favorites, the ones that do it for me the most. 3 people, 3 musicians, making lots of noise, releasing some really good albums. The ones that I like the most. Whatever the configuration of the musicians are, whether it's a guitar player, a bass player, and a drummer, or a keyboard player, a bass player, and a drummer, or a keyboard player, a guitarist, and a drummer, or, a flute player, a tuba player, and a acoustic guitar player. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't really matter as long as they make great music and, they literally can project some power. That's what it's all about. So this is a band that debuted on the scene in 1969. With the original trio. They recorded a handful of albums with this trio before they became a 4-piece. Hold on, what's going on here? We're going to ignore something. Okay, we're still recording? Yes, we're still recording. I got some kind of error floated across my screen here, which is kind of strange. Anyway, back to the band. So they eventually became a 4-piece by adding a keyboard player. And then, continued their success as a band, although I think once they brought in the keyboard player and started having some additional album sales and single success or whatnot, their music became less of the early, heavy, hard rockin', garagey, funky power trio stuff that they were known for early in the career. Of course, I'm talking about Don Brewer on drums and vocals, Mel Scatcher on bass, and the incredible Mark Farner on guitars and vocals. Grand Funk Railroad, that's right. The debut album, On Time. There's the 3 of them right there. The band that the critics hated and the people loved, right? They sold out tours all over North America. Big selling albums. Yeah, a few hit singles, not a ton of them, but, a couple of songs that have stood the test of time on radio, right? Specifically from the early part of their career. I'm Your Captain, Closer to Home was the big kind of epic track from the trio part of their career. Of course, when they became a 4-piece, they had songs like We're an American Man and The Locomotion and a handful of other tracks. They became more of a singles band later on, but early on they were more of an album band. So many great songs on these early albums. Again, this On Time is the debut. You've got Are You Ready, Anybody's Answer, Time Machine, Into the Sun, Heartbreaker. Great song. You've got, probably if it's not my favorite, it's my second favorite, the Grand Funk album, otherwise known as the Red Album, which has the classic Got This Thing on the Move. What I love about this band is that they are heavy rockin', frantic, still bluesy, definitely have that funk and soul edge, which I kind of like. You got Mark Farner, who's a terrific frontman, great voice, had the look, really good guitar player too, not like a technical player like along the lines of like a Blackmore or Beck or Page or someone like that. More of a kind of like feel player, right? Energetic guy. His solos were like, all over the place and loud and, a lot of good riffs. He had really good sense of time. I think his sense of rhythm was really, really good. And then you got, Don Brewer, big, heavy drum barrage all over the place, and a really good vocalist too. Early on it was mostly Mark singing, but Don started singing a bit after a couple of albums in, and then all of a sudden, he's singing like half the albums along with Mark. And then you got Mel, who had just this huge bottom end. I mean, his bass lines, his bass riffs, absolutely tremendous. These guys as a trio made so much noise. Again, some people didn't like them because their music wasn't overly sophisticated. I don't really care. I always, to me, there was always something about Grand Funk that I just really, really loved a lot. Got This Thing on the Move, Mr. Limousine Driver, Please Don't Worry, In Need. What a terrific song that is. Got a little bluesy edge, great guitar licks on that. The heavy, dark, Paranoid, not to be confused with Black Sabbath's Paranoid, and of course their great cover of the Animals hit Inside Looking Out, which for my money blows away the original. I love Grand Funk's Inside Looking Out. I think it's absolutely terrific. Got to have their early live album. This is as raw and raucous as it gets. Again, not polished, but who cares? I mean, this is just, you feel like you're there. Just so good. So many of the great songs are on here. And again, from the first, 2 albums. I mean, they released a live album pretty early in their career. Then you got Survival. Starting to see a little more sophistication coming in, using strings on some stuff. You got a cover of Gimme Shelter. Feeling All Right, cover the Dave Mason classic. Country Road is great and heavy. All You Got Is Money is hard rocking. Then you've got the classic Closer to Home album. Sin's a Good Man's Brother, terrific heavy rocker. You got the kind of funky hard rocking Aimless Lady, Nothing Is the Same, terrific. The bluesy kind of dark Mean Mistreater, kind of atmospheric. What else? Hooked on Love. I'm Your Captain. I'm Your Captain is absolutely legendary. Here you've got probably my favorite Grand Funk album, that and the Red album, is E Pluribus Funk, which is just absolutely terrific. So much groove on this album, but it's heavy. Foot stomping music, terrific song with a great hook, great Hammond organ by Mark, and then a killer guitar solo. You got People Let's Stop the War, terrific hard rockin' wah-wah song. Upsetter is great. I Come Tumbling is totally kick-ass. Save the Land kicks ass. You got No Lies, and then Loneliness. Loneliness to me is kind of like the more downbeat, atmospheric sister or sibling to I'm Your Captain. And again, you got wild strings on there, loads of great vocals, just really eerie, kind of just very cool song. And then to kind of cap it all off, man, it's like you got to have the 71 Tour live album too, which for my money is almost as good as that other one. I mean, this one maybe the band a little bit less raw on this, but just absolutely terrific. And this is comprised of recordings from Cobo Hall and Shea Stadium on that tour. Just absolutely incredible. A lot of the same songs that are on the other one, but a couple different, and because it's a little bit later. But yeah, man, so good. So there you have it. That is my pick for today, as I almost throw everything on the floor. Grand Funk Railroad, all indispensable albums, if you ask me. And yeah, they're pretty high on this list. This to me is one of my favorite power trios of all time. Love them. Again, another band that if I was old enough, I would have liked to have seen them. But when they were at their kind of peak with this lineup right here, you're talking 1970, 1971, 72. Yeah, I'm just a wee little guy, just a little guy. And my parents were not going to let me go to Shea Stadium to see Grand Funk Railroad and Humble Pie in 1971. Not going to happen. Oh well. I can only dream, right? I can only dream. So there you have it. My pick for number 4. 3 more to go. Plus some honorable mentions. I don't think I mentioned that. I'm going to do a separate episode, as I always do, on all my honorable mentions that I didn't get to squeeze into this list. So that'll happen on the last day of the month as well, along with my number 1. So stay tuned for the top 3 coming up. And make sure you visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. No, we're on YouTube. All together all the damn time. I haven't done that mistake in a while. Yeah, Facebook and YouTube. There we go. Yeah, Twitter we don't use anymore. Just don't use it. I don't see a need for it. So I was like, created a Twitter account for the channel and for the website. Never really got into using it. I don't know, for whatever reason. It's just, who's got the time? Who's got the time? I certainly don't. But anyway, let us know what you think of Grand Funk Railroad, as well as your pick for number 4. And we'll see you tomorrow morning with number 3 here on our favorite 31 power trio bands of all time. I am Pete Pardo. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell. We also have the links below to our Ko-Fi page and our merch page for all sorts of cool Sea of Tranquility stuff. And we'll see you tomorrow morning, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.